Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and I am so excited that you're here to catch the weekly replay of my laid-back yet very inspiring conversations with other full-time professional artists. The purpose of this series is to show aspiring artists that it is completely possible to have a great career in the arts. And if you ever want to tune in and have your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just check out the schedule over at facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy every Tuesday to catch us on live. I'll see you there. This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time six-figure art business. With weekly trainings that include step-by-step proven art business techniques, plus painting tutorials from yours truly and other guest artists who are masters in their field, you will be well equipped to learn and grow into the highly skilled and highly profitable artist you know you're meant to be. I've figured out what it takes to build my own six-figure art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. It's not hard, but it does require your time and dedication. So if you're up for the challenge, go to advancedmember.com. That's advancedmember.com to learn more. This week's episode features one of my favorite oil painters from the UK, Katy Jade Dobson. There's just something about Katy's style of art that I'm just so infatuated with. Her use of color and combining facial elements with wildlife is just so unique and unlike anything else I've ever come across. And it actually really inspires me to think outside my own box and to possibly create something a little bit different, so not typically animals, but something a little bit different that's coming very soon. But in this interview, Katy talks about how she started out her art career with an art publisher, but is now completely independent. And if you're not exactly sure what that means, just listen in as Katy explains the benefits and downsides of having someone do the marketing for you versus doing it all yourself. She shares all of this and so much more. So let me know what you think about this week's episode with Katy Jade Dobson. Okay, if you want to just kind of tell a little bit about yourself, a little bit of background into how you got to where you are today, for anybody on the podcast version or on here that might not know who you are.
Yeah, okay. So I'm an oil painter, and I mostly do wildlife or kind of natural world paintings. And they're usually done with quite abstract colors and in quite a surrealist way, almost a little bit dreamlike sometimes. I've been doing it for about 7 years now, something like that. Yeah, and I've just kind of built it up mostly through social media. Social media is so helpful for artists. I couldn't, shout about it more.
Yeah, for sure. So did you go to school for art?
I did. I went to university, but I have to say, because I do have a lot of people that say to me, I've not been to art school, I've not been to university, so can I still do it? The course that I did wasn't all that useful for me. It didn't teach me to paint or anything like that. It was more like theoretical side or like to do with galleries. So yeah, I don't think that going to an art school or doing a degree can really define your career. So I always want to make sure I tell people that first.
Yes, I'm so glad to hear you say that, actually, because I have a degree in painting as well. And when people ask me, I'm like, I had the same reaction. I'm like, yeah, I have a degree, but I don't know that it really, it was helpful in many ways, but it wasn't like what made me be an artist.
Yeah.
It was like exactly like you're saying. It's very theoretical. It's like, how do you find inspiration to paint and stuff, but not necessarily how to make money with it.
No, definitely not the business side of it.
Yeah.
That's not something that I think I've only seen that really mentioned in the last few years. And I think podcasts like yours are so helpful because artists create from like a need to create. But obviously business is very different to art and very opposite. So I feel like podcasts like yours that bring them together are really nice, and they're quite rare.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's definitely the goal of it. So how did you land on your specific style? I just kind of want to, like, was there did you start out doing, like, what did you start out painting? What did you paint in college, and how did you get to the specific style you're at now?
Well, so at university, there really wasn't the option to paint. It didn't really, I was actually told by one of my lecturers that if I painted on a canvas, just kind of a normal painting, that they wouldn't mark it. So it was like, I went quite a while without really practicing art properly. And then I was so frightened of it that I didn't do it for quite a while after university. But then I picked it up and it was animals straight away. It's just what I was called to do. That's all I wanted to do. And it was animals with a bit of kind of abstract stuff going on around them. And, you know, I've done all different things since then, but it's always followed along that vein of wildlife in a bit of an abstract way. I don't really know how I landed on that subject. It's just what I've done from the start. Like drawing little animals when I was a kid. It's always been animals for me.
I love it. I love it because a lot of artists will be like, well, I think this will sell, so I'll paint this. And you're a great example of someone who is like, no, this is what I want to paint, so I'm going to do it. And you're making it work, which is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So first question, what was the tipping point that took you from hobby to professional artist?
Okay, so it wasn't as well thought out as it could have been, in that I was working in a bar and I was selling paintings on the side, and not just paintings, like maybe sketches, different artwork, and the hours started to dry up at this job, and it was a case of, do I find work somewhere else, or do I just throw everything into painting? And that was the choice that I made. It's not always great for people, because I really do think sometimes if you're doing it alongside a job, you've got the freedom of being able to pay your bills and not worry too much about the art, and it will come in time. But for me, it was that leap. It was that petrifying leap, just having to go for it, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's such a scary thing, and I think a lot of the podcast listeners especially can relate. They're either like just about to take that leap, or they just did. And so I love that you shared that, in that it's not a comfortable thing but it's it's just you don't regret it.
No. And I think people work in different ways, in that some people can really be pushed by fear. I'm one of those people where if there's a deadline, then I'll get my arse into gear. But then there are people who don't thrive and just crumble under that pressure. So, I think for some people, working until you can steadily kind of move into art is really useful. And then there's some people who just need to jump. And I think you know who you are really on that spectrum.
Yeah, definitely. We have a question right here. Someone says, I can hardly ever finish my art. My perfectionist kills me. Do you have any tips?
Oh, that's a really good one, because it's so easy, isn't it, to look at something and keep thinking, oh, I could keep going on this. I can do better. I can keep tweaking it. But otherwise, I think you'd be working on something forever and ever. So I think it is really good practice I think they call it's like finished or abandoned. And I think a lot of my paintings are abandoned rather than finished, because I would spend forever on them. I think you just have to call it a day sometimes.
Yes, I definitely agree. I think. Oh yeah, and I think in the beginning I was a lot more I gotta do everything, and now I'm like, okay, how fast can I get this done? Because there's another order,
Yeah.
So what makes up your typical work day? How many hours do you typically spend painting?
Well, I try to start with admin things. So if there's any emails or calls to do, I will try and do that in the morning and kind of get it out of the way. I'll maybe come back to it again in the evening, but so that the whole middle of the day isn't interrupted. Because, you know, once you start painting and you kind of get into the flow of it, you don't really want to stop and like do emails. So yeah, I'll tend to spend, or sometimes I'm really excited to paint in the morning and I just dive straight in. But yeah, hours. I would maybe say on like a full work day, I would maybe do about 5 hours of painting, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I've noticed if I spend more than like 7 hours, I'm like, okay, this is too much. You know,
Yeah,
there's like
yeah.
other things. Yeah. So someone asked a question, do you have to be able to draw in order to paint?
No, I don't think so. I think it's useful to be able to draw if you're doing like a subject maybe and the proportions need to be accurate. And they don't have to be accurate, but if you really want the proportions to be accurate, then being able to draw and map it out first is really useful. But I think to be able to paint is very different. I think drawing's quite technical, whereas painting is much freer. And I think people can just let loose, and especially if it's not based around a subject and you don't have to get proportions and things right.
Yeah, good answer. Yeah. Brianna said she loves your accent. She just wanted to say that, and so do I. We love European accents.
Oh, I love yours.
Oh,
I could listen to you forever on your podcast.
Oh, thanks. So can you talk us through your painting process? Are there any methods or techniques that you've picked up through your years of experience?
Yeah, and I think so. I learned to paint by trial and error, and that is, I would say, the biggest technique to kind of improving. So if you're not like fully happy or they don't look exactly as you'd like them to look, I think trying new techniques that you wouldn't normally think to do is the way forward, because you just learn a lot from it and you know your strengths. I feel like trial and error is so much better than to just read about it and learn. Like, you learn so much quicker with trial and error, I think. Just doing it and seeing what works for you and what doesn't. That would be my, like, the main technique for me.
Yeah, and I can imagine how your paintings, I'm like, man, how does she, like, it's about composition too. And I guess really one of the only ways to try it is to just try different things, you know, just kind of put that here, be like, I think I'm going to put an eye right there. I think I'm going to put, do you have it mapped out before you do it, or is it just kind of like you're going with it?
Sometimes I have it mapped out completely, like to a T, everything mapped out. Sometimes I'll maybe have a general idea and then I'll just embellish it and just kind of do it a little bit to the plan and then just let it go, see what happens with it.
Yeah, I love it. What is the one thing you don't like to paint without?
I would think like music or podcasts, I think. Yeah, I don't think I could just sit and paint in silence. But material-wise, I think it would be a blending brush. I do a lot of blending. So like a round, thick blending brush to get like just that like fluffy cloud-like texture. I love that.
Awesome. Yes, I'm the same way too, especially with the podcast or listening to something in your ear. If I'm not listening to a book or a podcast, like, and that just, it takes you away from what you're doing almost.
Yeah.
And or can like even add to it. Sometimes if I'm listening to like something fast paced or like motivational, I'm like painting faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that, yeah. And if you're listening to something like really calm and soothing, like I find that my paintings are often really subtle and calm. It's funny how it affects it.
Yeah, for sure. We have a question. How do you preserve or keep your art?
So I always, when they're finished, I always varnish them with a top coat. So, yeah, they're like UV protective and they like enhance the vibrancy of oil paints. whenever a painting's finished, I always put that top coat on it because you know it's safe then.
Yeah. What kind of varnish do you use?
What's its name? It might be called Dammer varnish.
Okay.
It's just like a clear liquid, but I think if anyone wanted like a top coat varnish, if you just type in like oil paint varnish into Amazon or something like that, so many things come up and they all work the same.
Yeah. Awesome. What makes you choose oil paint over acrylic? Just curious.
Oh, I love oil paints.
Yeah.
The reason it's mostly the pigment is much stronger. So acrylics are great in that the consistency is the same throughout all colors. And the difficulty with oils is that it's not the same. A certain shade of blue could be so much thicker or a bit more translucent than like a pink. So you do have to like adjust how you work with different colors, which is a bit complicated, but the pigments are so strong and vibrant. So yeah, it depends on what you want from the process of it. But I get so much joy from oils. I just love them.
Yes. I mostly do acrylics, but I'm actually taking an oils class right now from just an oils master. He's so good. And we're working in oils and I'm like, I forget how much I love it. Because even like, it sounds kind of weird, but even like the smells of it, I'm like, oh, it's soothing. Yeah. Are there any art lessons you've learned the hard way, either with art business or art painting or any kind of thing?
Oh, that's a really good one. Learned the hard way. Well, I think there's so many little fails that have happened when starting up as like professionally. So maybe things like writing the wrong thing on an invoice or not chasing, this email, or it's kind of little things that might be the difference between a sale or someone backing out of the sale. And again, there's no one thing that I can think of, but it's that trial and error thing in that I always wanted to know everything about what I was doing before I did it, but it's not until you actually throw yourself in and do it that you actually learn. Respond to that email quickly or, I don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think, a lot of this too with artists, there's hardly any playbook of like, do this and you'll be successful. So it's kind of like, we're just throwing stuff at the wall and like making so many mistakes, but it's totally okay.
That's so true.
The question, what type of paint would you recommend for beginners? Oil, acrylic, or both?
I think acrylic is, for beginners, I would say maybe acrylics. But I think if you're wanting to use oils, like that's your end goal, I would say just dive straight into goals. There's like a theme of me diving into things here that I'm noticing. But I think it's the quickest way to learn. If the end goal is oils, I think just get a basic set that has like all the colors that you need and that can mix easily and just go for it.
Yeah, awesome. So we have another question. How do you protect your art from infringement?
Oh, that's a really hard one. It happens. So I have one particular image of mine that I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was placed on a site or something, and it just kind of it went like not viral. It's done the rounds a lot on the internet, but without my name attached to it. So it's been picked up by a lot of companies online that are selling it on canvases and whatnot at a much reduced quality. And it's been impossible to keep up with. It's sending so many emails, like cease and desist emails. But there's only so much that you can do. And I think to a degree you have to like let go. And if you're putting your work out there on the internet at that scale that I have done before, which is like quite a lot, I do put quite a lot out, it's going to happen. I think you just kind of have to accept that sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. So you just send a cease and desist letter to them if you try to track
Yeah,
down who it is, and that's do they
yeah.
usually take it down, or you at least
They
try, or?
often, I mean, they often get ignored. Some get taken down straight away, but often they might pop up again somewhere else. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I get that question a lot because people are like, well, I'm going to put it online. And I think a lot of people, I just kind of tell them too, like, you're putting a devalued or a low quality photo of it online. Like you said, like the reproductions are going to be really low quality. And so
yeah,
they can only make so big of a print is kind of how I kind of say it.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of part of the internet is so great because like it's me and you talking right now, but then it has its
Yeah,
bad sides like that.
exactly. Yeah, it's just one of those things, I think.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite painting, a favorite past project?
Yes, for sure. I recently, well, it was last year, I did some paintings for a restaurant. It was, so Adam Handling, he's an amazing chef. He has a restaurant in this beautiful building. And my work is in the restaurant and around the tea rooms. And it's a bit of a dream come true. It's a very fancy place. And I got to go there and see it, and I just felt so proud because I just never imagined that my work would be somewhere like that. I was so happy.
That's amazing. Congrats. That's so awesome. And
No,
I could definitely see your work in places like that. I think it definitely fits. It has this like elegant but like abstracted, but it's great. And so how did you get that? How did you get it in there? Did they just message you or did you?
well, so I've been working with a management company for 5 years, who, well, not anymore. I've just launched independently, just as of the beginning of January. And this management company, they were absolutely brilliant. And so I would do the paintings and they would kind of create prints and have work put in galleries. And this was a kind of someone that they knew, kind of, I don't know, it just kind of came about like that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Do you recommend a management company for an artist who's just starting out?
I mean, there's so many pros and cons, and it depends on what you want long term. And I think for me, when I started out, I had nothing behind me. I had no help, no finances, no capital to help me like advertise or buy new materials. So it was all really, really hard work. Then I wasn't too sure about joining a publisher because it can be difficult. They have full control of your work. So it's really depending on what you want from it. So if they're not doing a very good job, there's not a lot that you can do about it. You can't really sell your work outside of them. So if it's a publisher who you really, really like, or a management team that you really, really like, who you think does a great job, it can be amazing. Really, really good.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And you mentioned that Instagram is the main source of your sales here recently. Is that part of why you are going independent? And how did you grow that Instagram? Just let's talk about Instagram for a second.
Oh, I love Instagram.
Too.
Yeah, it was. It was one of the main resources that I used when I was starting, and I hustled so hard on. I mean, it was easier a few years ago before the algorithm hit, and those changes do impact how quickly you can grow, I think, at the minute. But yeah, it was. I could tell that it was going to be a really useful tool when I realized I could put a painting out and someone would like it and maybe share it with their friend, and then that friend wanted a commission, and then they knew someone who wanted a painting of their dog, and then everything just kind of spirals from there. And so when I realized it was a really useful tool, I made sure I put a lot more effort into it, and I still do that now. it's so useful for artists because it's such a visual platform. It's great.
It is. Do you plan out your grid? Are you like, is everything planned? Is everything like color schemed? Are you big on that? Or are you just kind of like just posting?
No, I'm just posting now. I did used to think about it as a grid so much more and plan it so much more. But no, not anymore. Now I just post. I mean, you don't know how long these things are around for and how long you can kind of reach the people that you've already amassed as a following. For you don't know, they might shut Instagram down one day. So I kind of just think get as much content out as you can while it's free, while it's available. So I don't put that much thought into it. I just do it, just get it done.
Yeah, that's a great way to think of it. Just like it's working, so like do what's working now as much as you can.
Yeah.
We had a comment that I was reading that was really nice. Rebecca says, "Your paintings are beautiful. You really inspire me. I'm 14 and just started painting about a year ago. How long did it personally take you to produce professional paintings?"
Oh, I like that question. It did take a couple of years. Not to become professional. I painted every day, and that meant that my paintings seemed to get better really quickly, like much quicker than I ever thought they would. I think just making it an everyday practice makes such a massive difference. But I think I'm still learning, so it's a difficult one to pin. I think the point where I was really happy with what I was producing was maybe after 3 years of painting all the time. But I was selling paintings, after a year or so of learning. But I'm still learning now. I'm not at my end point, and I think that there's more that I can do. So I think it's for everybody. It's always going to be an ongoing process.
Yes, I love your thought process in that, and I can't wait to see where you're at in like 10 years or something, just because you're still in the form of a student, and I think that's so important for artists, even when we're 5 years in or however long. And I also love that you said you painted every day, because right now we're doing the 31-day challenge, and that's really just to produce a painting every day, which is a small painting, whatever you can do. And last year we followed it with the 100-day challenge, which is just to paint every single day. Yeah, it's just, and that one wasn't producing a painting every day, but it's just to get people to paint every single day. And so I love that you said that and like saw such improvement faster than you thought. And I think that can really inspire a lot of people listening or watching into that. Exactly what we're doing right now is the 31-day challenge. It's to do exactly what you just said. And so I love that. Okay.
Oh yeah, I would definitely champion that. I think doing something every day, it's like if you go to the gym or you do press-ups every day and those muscles get stronger. It's like that. Your vision gets stronger and what you're able to produce gets stronger. So yeah, everyone needs to do this 30-day challenge.
Thanks. Yeah, exactly. I love that you reference it to the gym too, because that's the one I always go to as well. It's like, and you think that you'd like to paint every day, but it's kind of hard to get yourself to paint sometimes, just like it's good for you to go to the gym, but it's hard to get there sometimes. Let's see. What are your future art plans and goals? What are you currently working on? What's in the works?
So after having that 5 years with management, I'm kind of back to the business side of it a little bit more, which is interesting because it's what I was doing initially. And so, I'm back to that. So for me, this year is it's just getting a grasp on the business side of my artwork and producing. So my work has changed a little bit. I try and let it evolve as I grow, and it's kind of just exploring that a lot and seeing where that goes.
Yeah, just kind of going with it. Last question. Is there any advice that you would give to artists who want to make art their full-time career but just don't know where to start?
Yes, definitely. I think so many people say, like, there's this stereotype of like the starving artist, and it's not something that people can make money from. But like, people need to know that they can. And in the same way that maybe, you know, an accountant is great with numbers and they're paid well because of that talent that they have with numbers, the same goes for art. If you've worked really hard on your talent, and someone is going to want to buy that work from you and buy that talent, and art deserves to be paid for just as much as an accountant. And I think people don't realize that. I think they think, you know, no one buys art, or it's an industry that you can't make much money in and you can't work full time, but you can. And there's so many different aspects to it as well, not just selling paintings, but just being involved in all different aspects of it.
Yes, I love everything about what you just said. And I'm hoping, like, I mean, you'd think with the evolution of Instagram and so many artists, like, coming about from Instagram, I'm hoping that in the coming years, that starving artist notion is going to kind of be swept under the rug, and that's, like, something that used to be. And, hey, yes, artists can make money with it because of people like you and me and just everybody that's out there. It's like, no, you'll pay for my art and you'll like it, and I will be happy to give it to you. So yeah, okay, awesome. I think that's great. Let's see. Yeah, somebody says hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
That is it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Tuesday to chat with us. I know that this is going to be super inspiring to a lot of people, and I know there's several people in the Artist Academy who follow you already, so they're going to be super excited to see this interview. And it was just so nice to meet you. Yes.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. I was so happy when you asked me to do it.
Oh, good.
I love your
I'm
podcast.
so glad. Thank you. You seriously make my day. Okay. Well, I hope you have a great Tuesday, and I will talk to you later.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time six-figure art business. With weekly trainings that include step-by-step proven art business techniques, plus painting tutorials from yours truly and other guest artists who are masters in their field, you will be well equipped to learn and grow into the highly skilled and highly profitable artist you know you're meant to be. I've figured out what it takes to build my own six-figure art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. It's not hard, but it does require your time and dedication. So, if you're up for the challenge, go to advancedmember.com. That's advancedmember.com to learn more. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. If you review our podcast and send a screenshot of that review to me on Instagram, I am at Art by Andrea Earhart. I will then promote your art on my story and tag you as a little thank you for helping me grow this podcast and our Artist Academy community. I have a reach of over 50,000 on Instagram, so this is a little help me to help you incentive. Also, if you ever want your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just hop on over to facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy to check out the schedule every Tuesday to catch us on live. I'll see you next week.